Mad Dog. So we know who's favored to win each conference in the whole NBA, but which team needs a conference finals appearance the most?
I think it's Cleveland. I think if Cleveland ever lost to Milwaukee or Indiana, it's going to ruin their 65-win season. And if they get murdered by the Celtics and are not that competitive and they don't give you a 7-game series, I think they're going to get killed too. I think Cleveland's a little bit of a regular season team. I'm going to have to see them in big spots. They barely beat Orlando last year, had to go to a Game 7 and could have lost. I got to see Cleveland in a big situation with seasons on the line. I know they beat the Celtics earlier in the year in Boston. It was a good win. They were down 25-3. I understand all that. But when the money's on the line, I got to see it. I think the most pressure, Monica, is on the Cavs to stamp their regular season. And they don't got to win the title or win the series.
Yeah,
they got to get there and give the Celtics a good run.
Wendy?
Yeah. I respect that opinion. I think especially because, you know who else agrees with you, Mad Dog? I think Donovan Mitchell would agree with you because he was a part of some great regular season teams in Utah that fizzled in the playoffs, never reached the conference finals. And he has said from the beginning of the season when they went 15-0, this doesn't matter unless we do it in the playoffs. He's had the same consistent message, so he agrees. But the Cavs have a bit of a window. All of their guys are signed. All of their guys are in their 20s. They have they know they've got a good coach, and they know that the Celtics may not be able to hold this team together. They have a bit of a window. I don't think the pressure is on them as much as it is on this Eastern Conference team, a team they may face in the second round. That's the Milwaukee Bucks. The Bucks, and I can't emphasize this enough, they are not supposed to be here. The way the modern NBA is designed and the rules and stuff, you're not supposed to be a title contender for 6, 7, 8 years. The windows are designed to be more compressed than that. And the Bucks have robbed Peter to pay Paul to keep it open this long for Giannis Antetokounmpo. They've traded all their picks. They've paid tens and tens of millions of dollars in luxury taxes. They're absolutely soaked in debt from the last couple of years. Their team is kind of aged out. But the issue is Giannis is not aged out. And so to prove to Giannis that they're still competitive and that they still have runway left, they need to make a run in the postseason, especially after underwhelming the last couple of years.
But Wendy, how do you say that when they might not have Dame?
I agree. Terrible break, which is why the pressure is on even more.
I hate following up Wendy because he gives you the scholastic academic answer, lays out all the things. I'm just going to tell y'all how I feel. I think both are acceptable and solid choices, but I'm actually going to go west, and I'm looking at the Clippers, y'all. Because I think when you look at this Los Angeles Clippers organization, similar to the Bucks to a lesser degree, they've allegedly trying to keep this window open, but we have never seen the realization of the promise of what the Clippers could be. We saw it in spurts last season. Maybe they're playing their best basketball right now. I do believe that they are flying under the radar in the Western Conference. But at some point, they got to go ahead and get over the hump so that all of the new intuit and fancy and the energy of Steve Ballmer and the Leonard and the Harden team up, like it has to mean something at some point. And so I actually think that this is an opportunity for the Clippers because as much as we started the day talking about the Malone conversation, and you referenced Ty Lue, Wendy, as a terrific example of a head coach that is loved, and it is not necessarily his fault because of injuries and such for the Clippers, but to me, there's probably going to come some drastic changes there sometime in the near future if they can't ever get over the hump.
I almost threw up on my Cheerios.
Oh, no.
When I saw this
You
one.
still eat
Not
Cheerios?
this part.
Yes.
Interesting.
Did anybody see Stephen
Honey
A's?
Nut ones or regular?
Honey
No,
Nut.
the Cheerios.
You like the regular?
No, the Honey Nut.
Honey Nut. That's
Yes,
the,
Honey
yeah,
Nut
they're
Cheerios.
better.
Wow,
They're better.
throwback. Oh, my goodness.
How
My
about
dad
Stephen
loves
A? Do we have the clip on this?
Stephen A.
Yeah.
What do you
don't
do?
have- All right. Stephen A, he put Carmelo Anthony as a top 5 Knick of all time, and then he said he's a top 3 Knick last week. I had my buddy, Chris, did you hear what Stephen A said? And know what's that? Top 3 Knick, Carmelo Anthony. He won 1 playoff series in his career as a New York Knickerbocker. 1. Have you heard of Reed, who won an MVP and 2 championships? How about Clyde? How about Bernard King? How about Dave DeBusschere, who was the missing ingredient? You know how good this guy was? He was the missing ingredient to a team that won 2 championships. Here's King, who scored 60 in a game against the Nets on Christmas Day, who Bird said was incredible. I could never go to. How about Earl the Pearl Monroe, who played on the Knicks that won a title? And, of course, Ewing. How in the world? I love him. And he's not here to defend himself, so I didn't want to do it, but they said Chris kill him. So I said, okay. I mean, you have
Stephen A. or Melo?
They said Chris
Stephen
Kill him,
A.
so I said,
Melo.
okay, all right.
Stephen A. You have, think about it. If you look at the Knicks listen, you do this logically, you can make an argument. Go ask Herb Klein, who's no longer with us, who sat and has a season ticket holder since 1959. You can make an argument that Carmelo's not even in the top 5, that he's 7, because he's not Willis, he's not Ewing, he's certainly not Clyde, he's not the Busher, and he may not be Pearl, and he may not be Earl, and he may not be Bernard King. And forget Carl Braun and Dick McGuire. Don't be crazy.
I'm going to take this to the streets later. I'm going to go man on the street.
I was about to say, this feels like a personal list, not solely based on championships.
Who's the Busher?
Dave the Busher.
Okay, I'm just not bad, you know. You know what the funniest part about all of this is that you said, you know, I wasn't going to do it because Stephen A's not here, but they said, go ahead and kill him. I said, okay. All right, I'll kill him. You didn't even think about it. You're like, okay, I'll kill him.
The Busher, folks, was traded from the White Sox. He was the player manager.
I'm going to be honest with you. I can't be a part of this conversation because a lot of that grainy film, like I can't.
You can't deal with that.
I can't speak to it. No, I just can't. I can't speak to it.
I got to do my research. I got to do my research.
Listen, I agree. Molly makes a great point.
Yeah.
But I think that perhaps this was a personal list.
Oh, it was. They told me this was a list that he was in the top.
I don't know. I'm offering.
Well, I mean, that's different.
Because
she didn't.
I don't know for sure. I'm just offering that. I was, you know, Carmelo Anthony being a first ballot Hall of Famer, like his body of work, his time with the Knicks. For a long time in modern basketball, he was the only guy that was willing to carry that weight in this city. That matters.
How many playoff wins?
I hear you. As I said, perhaps this is a personal list.
But how much of that is on Melo?
You're getting paid $50 million a year, win more than one playoff series in 7 years.
But I'm saying, did he have the right parts around him? Do you think that's fair to put on Melo?
I think, you know, it's probably a little bit of both.
Okay.
Now, the Busher was great. Did you know in Game 5, can I give you a little history lesson?
Here we go.
What year was this?
69.
Russ, bring me a
the Knicks'
pencil,
first
please.
championship.
I was 1.
Did you know that Willis got hurt?
I didn't. We weren't born yet.
2 games apiece, Lakers.
Actually,
and they had
I
to
wasn't
guard
one yet.
Chamberlain.
I know this.
And who in the world had to guard Chamberlain?
The Busher.
The Busher, Nate Bowman, and Dave Stallworth. And Chamberlain didn't go crazy. Knicks won a game and won a championship.
What's the Busher's modern day comp? What is it?
Really,
What's his
Louis?
comp?
You want to extend
That's a
this
good
conversation?
question.
Yeah, actually I do, because I like when dogs.
Who would be his modern day comp? Who would be his modern day?
I don't watch that many highlights.
Why don't you marinate on that? And we'll make sure all the fans stick around after the break to get to Busher's modern day comp.
I wanna try to boast at what I look like. Keep them going, try to wear, I pull up long range. Jimmy with the heat, I'm on fire. It's 88 over here,